books are awesome.
Alright. Here we are. Blimey, it feels like this has been a while since we last did this.
Well,
in fact, if we
it
look
was
back,
last
it probably
year.
has been. Yes. Well, here's to 2023 being better than 2022. There we are. So, how have
It'll
we
all
got
end in fire.
Depending on how well you do. So,
On that note, has anybody seen my antimatter containment switch?
you've got a torch for
No.
antimatter containment.
Oh, that's the point. I'm going to guess that via the song call is points into building up his relationship with Raina. Because, you know, his new hobby / backup career of smuggling.
Oh yes, what we're actually talking about here is, of course, is the acclaim system. So, whether or not
I have
buying
no
points
idea
with-
what you could possibly be on about.
Just flocking bits of antimatter from the reactors every time we go somewhere for a bit of shit.
Hey,
Just on the
I've
cheap.
not sold
Little-
anything.
You may have passed it on to interested
Well,
parties.
it just
Quite
fell
hard
off the
to
back
sell
of the
when
truck.
we don't have the money and we don't use money anymore. But
Well, that's a good
acquiring stuff's a completely different ballgame.
Well, on that happy note, we're going to do our first intro video of 2023, so all your hats, folks, while I
That's the new one,
disable
isn't
the
it?
background sound effects. And we go into the intro. And there she is, folks. Ain't she a beaut? And off she goes. And here we start. Hello everybody, welcome back to the misadventures of the USS Navis, 2023 edition. Well, blimey, it's been a while, hasn't it? And so, let's just... give
Star Trek has
ourselves
often
a
said
moment.
before, new episodes are coming next Tuesday.
I'm still bitter about all that.
What, the fact that nothing was available until the Tuesday?
Well, you know, all that time ago, back when we had Best of Both Worlds Part 1 aired,
Yep.
and then Part 2 didn't air for another 6 months or something, wasn't it?
Back in the days when you couldn't just sort of like wait for them to leak on the internet.
Well, exactly. Ah, them were the days. Hated them. Don't want to go back to them ever again.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Now you blink and there's a whole 2 seasons.
Two
All
entirely
of it
separate seasons.
terrible.
It's true. On the plus side, we have Davis's favourite series, Discovery.
Don't you mean Enterprise?
Oh, is that your favourite?
Well, they never made a series called Discovery.
Really? That's weird.
They
what
never
are these-
made 4 seasons of it. Nope.
Nope, didn't happen. It's like there is no Star Trek 5.
See-
Don't know
see-
why.
Everyone always poo-poos on Star Trek 5, and I agree I didn't like it, but if I had to get rid of one Star Trek film, it'd be Insurrection.
If you were limited to only one, then yes, I suppose so. I can go with that.
Managed to be simultaneously insultingly bad and boring as heck.
Yes, well, at least Star Trek Nemesis gave us, you know, shoot, bang, fire.
Yeah.
And a new ship.
And it managed to give us a fight that didn't involve a sort of 1990s joystick being used to pilot the Enterprise. Speaking of which, if we're going to put new traits on our ship, I'm wondering if we should actually put one for Keval, where he can literally pilot it using a joystick. If Riker can do it, I believe Keval can.
Well, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, but were you the only one who hasn't yet declared what you're gonna... Oh no, you did say, you could put a trait. Wary of protocol breaches, that was it. I'm gonna have fun with that one.
I'd like to point out that Deanna Troi is the only person to crash 2 Enterprises from piloting it, so, Riker does a good job with a joystick.
Yeah, but bear in mind, Deanna Troi was secretly a Romulan agent. Don't you remember that episode where she went home and looked like a Romulan? That was totally what that plot was.
Ah, dear.
If I was going to use a peripheral device, I would do something that I could control with my antenna, like a kind of helmet or something.
That allows kind of like a virtual control through reality.
So, pretty much what you're proposing is that kind of interface unit that Reginald Barclay managed to create in the holodeck when he had his intellect.
Nope. Not having that anywhere near my warp cores. You can put it in whatever computers you like, just not near my warp cores.
Well, it's in the holodeck, because obviously the holodeck can totally simulate technology that's completely outside of any sort of Starfleet knowledge.
Well, apparently, if you've got the maths for it, you can do anything.
Yeah. Hey, remember when it literally made an evil sentient entity by accident because Geordi LaForge got one word in his command role?
It's almost like computers are entirely logical beings and take every word you say literally.
Oh yeah, I get it can make a mistake. I'm just very, very surprised its mistake was, I need to create someone capable of defeating Data, not Holmes. Let's create sentient life!
Very complicated heuristic algorithm.
The bit was, he actually just forgot a not. Because the requirement was supposed to include not evil.
Right, well, what actually happened, it turns out all of the holodeck episodes could be cancelled if right at the beginning they realised that evil was turned to on in the holodeck controls.
That one little switch box that you forgot to uncheck in the settings.
Well,
You know
it
how
turns out
Evil,
that's the
yes
reason
or
saying,
no?
oh dear, we've turned off the safety protocols.
That's the reason
They
it
know
always
what they
happens on the
are.
Enterprise. Every other ship was competent enough to check their controls.
Just realised I've been muted and been trying to say comment on that. I would say it's just like that episode of Treehouse of Horror with the Krusty doll. It's like, here's your problem. It's switched switched to evil. Figure out a good.
So the moral of the story is we worked out that holodeck technology was based on a cursed Krusty doll from an animated universe. Gotcha.
And there's our first cross-franchise quote of the night.
Woohoo!
Well then, moving us on to tonight's shenanigans. It does look like that we won't have a John tonight because he did say that he's feeling a bit under the weather, which, considering all the bugs that are going around this area at the moment, is no surprise. So
Yeah.
I wish
Bugs
John
going around the
gets
period.
better as soon as he possibly can, but with only one player down, we're going to continue this on regardless.
Okay. So, for science?
Yes, indeed. The first thing we do, because this is a new episode, is to take care of the science, as you say. Because we're using my nearest approximation of the scientific method in the rulebook to create scientific wonders and gizmos and gadgets. We are on to the third avenue of investigation now with Vibers and Edwards' handheld sonic stun gun. You'd tried acoustics.
Bertram is helping us with this, if I remember correctly.
Yes. You tried acoustics, and that got some results, but not the ones you wanted. You tried computer programming, and that had some results, but not the ones you wanted. Now you've moved on to outright biology. which was why you had to call in the doctor himself to assist. So, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is to, well, ask for some roles. So, Edwards can probably assist, since this is going to be more in the doctor's wheelhouse than anything else. Using either insight and reason, and science if you want to contribute your previous ideas. Likewise, Vibers can go either the science or the engineering route to try and assist by tagging on the previous experience you've had with creating this little thing.
Almost a 1.
Almost a 1, but no, almost a 20 even.
Is it science or medicine for me?
For you, since we're using biology as a means of trying to create an acoustic means of rendering people insensate, definitely do medicine.
Okay.
But the other two are drawing upon their technological knowledge and their previous experience with their past experiments in order to try and help things along. So if I can get Davis to give me... never mind, but that's 3 successes, so it all now hinges on Vibers assisting in some
Use the
fashion.
computer
with
as well
this.
to assist to fill in the last dice.
Yeah. Well, do me nicely. To create a program that will integrate everything that you've so far tried to combine.
Okay.
Someone would like to roll it.
Well, that's going to be Davis himself.
Cool. Am I rolling me or am I rolling? Sorry, am I rolling Vibers or am I rolling the computer?
You're
We'll be
rolling
doing knowledge.
Vibers.
Okay, and control and engineering.
I would go more reason in engineering because you're now having to integrate what you've learned so far rather than just slapping it in. Although feel free to slap it in, it just sounds really dirty when I say it like that. You rolled 2, but I'm going to be nice and
Oh
take
damn it! I thought I told
the
that to
one.
roll 1.
I'll take the 1 success, that's fine. So you got the number of successes that you needed for this particular task to try and bond it all in. You got 4 in total, which brings us nicely quite far along a path. So Bertram, bringing in his biological knowledge, is able to look at the acoustic data that has been assembled from the first line of experiments, and then with assistance from using the computer code that Vibers created to try and integrate the scanning technology required for the handheld stun gun and the means of trying to adjust the sonic output so that the harmonics lead to a stunning effect in most humanoids and most other alien life forms. Your Bertram brings on his biological expertise, and it seems to be going very well. You've still got a little bit more work to go, but with the sheer amount of knowledge that and success that Bertram brought in there, this is looking very promising. Bringing all the disparate pieces of knowledge together into one little device. At the moment, it's, for obvious reasons, quite bulky, quite massive, because it's from bits being hodgepodged together in order to create a working prototype. So at the moment, it's looking more like one of those old cameras that were around in the 1800s than anything else, with various dishes and lenses and stuff strapped to it, and it's quite big and bulky. But of course, optimizing it for space can be done after you get it to actually work.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Right, so you just very, very rapidly pump this crank here to build up the power in the dynamo.
You might need somebody to jog on the spot next to it to generate enough power.
Nova!
Well, if you use Nova, you could probably power it for a week.
Yeah.
No, we need Nova over in that corner for the static electricity component.
Is that
Which
why
is
you've
tell
got
her
one
to
of the...
stand still
Is that why
on the
you've got
carpet.
Is that why you've got a balloon and one of those crystal ball glowy things?
Let's go with as
No
long as there are no
comment.
further questions. Yes. Absolutely. No, that was good. A good amount of progress was made. You might be close to a solution here. The experiments are going quite well, integrating all of this. So, was there anything else that anybody else wanted to do or get started on before we proceed into the episode proper?
I'm going to regret saying this, but I do believe I still need to be placed at a new department, as I need to have the go around. Which, as far as I remember, it's not operate. It's engineering and
You
ops,
have
I do
got.
believe,
Let's
left.
see. Well, yeah,
So I've done medical and
been on
security.
you've been medical security. There's still science, but you're technically already almost under science on Natala's side of things anyway, due to the xenoanthropological and xenoarchaeological stuff that you've got under your belt. So there's Helm, obviously. Operations, as you quite rightly have pointed out. You've got tactical,
That was
and
the other thing.
you've
I was
got
trying to say-
engineering,
almost said
so-
optical. So
Nah, there's plenty of other places we can point.
There's also stellar cartography.
Oh, come on, let's pop you in tactical undercourt.
No,
There is a second
no,
tactical station there, so you know.
No, he needs to be on sort of like the lower deck training bits now.
Well, waste management.
Yeah, waste management. That'll do.
That's operations, right?
Well, yeah, which means technically it comes under Vibus's purview.
Operations is Nova.
Well, operations, yeah, technically is Nova too.
Operations, she's
really
chief
now
operations.
operations
It has to be Nova.
I was thinking it more from the side of operations. From what I understand of it, of course, I'm willing to be corrected, is mostly power management for the different departments. So Nova has got the unenviable position of being the one that every department comes to when they want power from the ship for something. Whereas more manual maintenance of the ship could be seen as under engineering, but hey, if Nova wants to be in charge of the waste disposal guys as well.
The way I looked at it was anything to do with repairing and keeping things running is engineering. Anything to do with
System
the system's
operations and
able
power
to do
management.
the work is engineering. Making them do the work is operations. But yeah, fuzzy department.
Yeah, so you know,
So let's see.
who
There's
wants
some carbon
Edwards
filters
where?
that need decarbonated.
The replicators need to be scrubbed.
The replicator filters need cleaned out. Yeah.
So, can I have a final decision from the command staff then, where Ensign Edwards is going to be posted? Considering at the moment, the Navis is stationed on ready status, just watching the evacuation of Narendra Station. So, you're not exactly busy, but you're not exactly being lax either. So. Decision. I mean, I can definitely see Keval is like leaning protectively over the Helm console and just shaking his head and mouthing no.
potentially his rival, considering how well I've been doing.
Oh,
Shots fired.
Fighting words there.
oh.
It should be valid for a while. Let me sit back and watch.
Well, you have been when I've been taking the smaller ships out. That's why they've been coming back in one piece.
Yes, but then you handle the big boy.
I thought the Navis was a girl, to be honest. But...
Well,
Depends on culture.
yes, Andorians are very confused as to why humans have to refer to their ships as female. It's a ship.
I feel with that many quantum torpedoes, Navis can identify however they want to. Who's going to argue with them?
Yeah.
Oh, flip it. See, where does a 600
Actually, yeah,
pound
that's a good
gorilla
point. Actually,
sit?
we should
Joke
we
again.
should ungender the ship, so it should be they. the ship.
With that many quantum torpedoes? The Navis has offered that it wants to be referred to from now on as Your Highness. Or else.
Would it
If
accept
if we refer to Navis as Your Highness, will the Navis then will their Highness promise to keep life support on in that case?
Oh, that costs extra.
So we released sentient AI during the downtime.
Again!
That comes later. So far, Nova has been very good and has kept Hello out of being shackled to the main, being tied to the main computer. So
Well, no.
that you know of.
All
Oh,
those
because
in
she's been
favour of
supervised.
putting Edwards to engineering, say aye.
Nothing.
Hi.
One little voice from the back.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Right, so it's tied.
Well, isn't it actually the job of the XO to decide this rather
It's
than
my
the
job. I told you where he's being put.
Waste management.
Yes.
All right. All right then. You get to deal with the gooey waste reclamation units.
Takes me out of the episode. So have a nice day, folks.
Not necessarily.
Yes, there's so much is going to be happening while I'm cleaning gunk out.
Well,
So let's stick Edwards kind of over on the end of the operations area, just for the sake of reminding me. Ensign Keshen takes over for comms for the time being. Okie dokie. Anything
I'll
else?
make
that I
sure
forgot?
to. I'll make sure to replicate several meals that he's not going to eat, just so it can go through waste disposal.
Just pour it down the chute while he's in there.
Just pour it down the toilet and flush.
Potentially position the captain, so this is not exactly what she had in mind.
You need to have experience on all operations of the ship.
So did everyone else in the command crew go through this exact same process?
No, because they came through the academy.
That's the whole point of this, to go through the same type of areas that would have been tested. And
They would have gone through
thought
similar
about.
experiences in the academy. They would
Right.
have had experiences on all parts of Federation, or all parts of Starfleet.
so, Mr. Edwards, let's start you in the sulfur scrubbers.
Now I know you just made that up, but all the same.
Right, okay, well you can put you in engineering and you can work on cleaning the Bassard collectors. There we go.
All
So
right
you get
then.
an appreciation of what engineering actually goes about doing.
Maintenance crew then. Okay. That'll do. So I'll actually stick you over here next to Vibers with the engineering group. So yes, welcome to engineering, says Lieutenant Bravo of engineering. This is where the real work gets done, and don't let them tell you any differently.
And as you might have been told up above, you're on waste management. What the commander keeps forgetting is that's under normal engineering.
Yep, because you're all waste.
So this does mean that you're primarily assigned to environmental systems for this morning.
It is.
So
Hence
if
the sulfur scrubbers.
so if somebody complains about their quarters being too cold or too hot, then you know who to call.
Too cold, too hot, weird smells that explode when you look at them badly.
Weird smells that explode.
When you look at them. What?
What the heck is the Navis transporting now? What did Nova bring on
apparently
board?
It allows you to see smells, apparently.
That's actually a cross-franchise reference, but none of you've read those books.
Apparently not, no.
But yeah, you'd be amazed what gases actually need to go into making a working environmental system.
I probably wouldn't, but okay. Well then, with all the levity and silliness out of the way, let's pass on to the actual episode beginning proper, as we go to the Captain's Log. So, Captain's log stardate 49967.8. 24 hours have passed after the evacuation of all Federation personnel from Narendra Station was announced. With aid from civilian and merchant vessels, the evacuation has proceeded with no incident. All the while, the Navis has remained on station in case the Klingons try anything. The decline in crew morale has been as steady as the withdrawal of all Federation citizens from what has been our home for the last year or so. And so it is, with sadness in our hearts, we are now witnessing the departure of the last ships from Narendra Station, escorting Admiral Hebert and her staff from the base and the alliance they had fought so hard to establish. So, on board of the bridge, as I change the ambience, a computer alert comes through, and Ensign Keshen on comms notifies the captain and the XO that a message has come through from the USS Adrian that they now have Admiral Hebert and her staff aboard and are making ready to depart the area. Captain Tukas asks for the view screen to be turned on, and indeed the old Miranda-class ship can be seen making its way towards the warp point at the edge of the system, being escorted by an old D7 Klingon battlecruiser. Behind the Hadrian is also a civilian craft, the Demeter, which apparently is evacuating the last of the civilian staff from the station. After a brief message from the Hadrian saying that Admiral Hebert will meet up with everybody once they are outside of Klingon space, a general message is sent, and with a flash, the ships leave the system. And that's it. The Navis is now the last Federation vessel in orbit around Starbase 364. At which point, Lieutenant Claude pipes up with an alert that comes through to his console, but it also goes through to Commander Thazanand and Lieutenant Nova's consoles. A ship has just entered the area as a Klingon ship comes out of warp. Sorry, I'm just reading what Shaun just posted for Nova. Right. Well, indeed. So, for the moment, I am tagging the Navis with a trait to do with the crew, low morale. Now, it does bear noting that in between the end of this episode and the start of the end of last episode and the end of this one, we started using the new Acclaim system that comes from the Klingon core rulebook, actually. So a couple of folks have decided to add traits to the ship, as well as to some of their characters. So just so everybody knows what's going on, the Navis has actually been tagged with a couple of new traits, one of which is cat runs. So that one's thanks to Nova. All these various little impromptu quick routes through the ship, through various access ports and Jeffrey's tubes, some of which are better maintained than others. There's also, of course, the Viber's Latude protocol, which is the thing that has been used before to seal the main computer to stop it being accessed by anybody nobody wants to. But it also contains the protocol that the computer protocol to monitor anybody using, making a log of anybody using ship's systems, or at least using high-level authorization to manage use ship systems in case somebody tries to misuse any departments or systems on the ship. Experimental phasers has also been added. So we'll just have to see what happens when we end up using that particular trait. So for the sake of this episode, I have added low morale onto that as well. Coming soon will be the Claught protocol. Claught's hand to the back of a snarky meatbag's head. Well,
Claught's protocol is graceful in its simplicity.
less graceful, more pure, I would say. Pure in intent and simplicity.
Yeah. Also, seeing as everyone else has their finishes for when they wrestle, I feel that should be Claught's, the Claught protocol.
Shaun, you're about to put something in there?
I was just going to say that it's certainly effective.
A giant rock
WMD.
man smacks you across the back of the head.
Yeah, this copy is a big show's WMD.
Claught protocol for when the quantum torpedoes aren't destructive enough.
Right, so there is another computer chime as Ensign Keshen turns around and says, Captain, we are getting a message from the Klingon vessel. It identifies itself as the Hute. General Varoth wants to speak with us. At which point the captain asks for the general to be put on screen. So for the sake of, I'm going to just show you what General Varoth looks like. As you see the rather on screen, you see the rather spacious deck of the Vorcha class Klingon battle cruiser. Greetings, Captain of the Navis. Hang on a second, I haven't activated my voice changer. I am General Varoth. I have been given the honor of escorting you through Klingon space back to the Federation. The captain acknowledges this. Thank you very much, General. If you would kindly send over the heading, we would be honored to follow you through your space back to the Federation. Indeed, Captain. You will find it a pleasant journey, I am sure. It is an honor to escort a fellow warship out of our space. At which point, Keval's station gets note that there's a transmission from the Klingon ship with a course heading.
Course received, Captain.
Very well then, says Captain Dukas. General, feel free to lead the way. General Varoth simply nods and signs off. At which point, on the viewer, the Vorcha-class ship is seen to start coming about, and shows you its back as it starts to go out along its heading. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Unusual of the Klingons to take the lead.
Say that again, sorry, Webby. I didn't quite catch the start of that.
That is unusual for the Klingons to take the lead.
Maybe.
I'll take up station.
Lost with that one.
I'll take up station not directly behind the Klingon, but sort of off to the side, so it doesn't look like we're trying to be in the blind spot or anything.
Okay. The only other thing I will say about this was that Nova, whilst the Klingon general was on, he seemed very pleased with himself. That's pretty much what you were getting. In the meantime, The Hutek comes about and sends the signal that it's pointed in the right direction, so it's ready to go to warp when you are. Captain Ducasse nods towards Keval in order to give him notice that it's pretty much on his lead, if he wants to call it.
Just out of interest, is it heading towards the Federation border?
That's the general heading, yes. So we're heading along the galactic west, basically. Because there's this weird bit of... the space around this area is a bit wibbly, and of course wasn't an issue before now, but there's... Where you're currently at is a small pocket of Federation space that's obviously been agreed upon with the Klingon Empire because of the whole cooperation with regards to the Shackleton Expanse thing. That isolated patch of Federation territory is, of course, now no longer technically Federation territory, so in order to go back to main Federation territory you have to travel through the galactic northern-ish border of the Klingon Empire to get to where you want to go. If I can make this absolutely definitely thing, you're going across the northern edge of Klingon space, which borders the Romulan Star Empire. So you will, when you get to its western edge, before you exit into Federation space, you will be passing Narendra 3. So that's the general direction that you're going. So the Klingons get good morale. Here I'm stuck with all of this sadness and there's him all proud of himself. Unit 3, go on hunger strike, please. Oh dear. Yes, Nova seems very sullen over all of this. Nevertheless, the Klingons give notice that they're ready to go to warp, so... off we go. So, the estimated time it's going to take you to get through Klingon space to the other side is going to be around about 3 days at warp 3. So, there's not much left to do at the moment. So unless anyone's got anything specific they want to do, you've maneuvered yourselves, port side, starboard side, just so you're flying slightly alongside them but slightly back? Was that the general gist of what I was getting from you, Jan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just
are
to
you
be appear to be, not. I just don't want to be in their blind spot because I think that would be a bit insulting.
Okay, that's fine. So you want to be seen rather than to be loitering at the very back.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So that's easy enough. Don't need any roll for that since you're an accomplished pilot.
Are they running with shields up or not?
Their shields are down.
Okay.
So
Then I would advise that we're doing the same.
Okay. So yes, advise that shields are down on your behalf as well. Okie dokie. So, for a good hour or so, for a good couple of hours, nothing much happens. You're basically following the leader. You do get a notice after a couple of hours in that General Varoth has extended an invitation for the Navis command crew to beam aboard his ship and enjoy some food if you would like. And I think Davis has been getting to the technobabble generator. As long as
Who
no
needs a
body offers
generator? I
chocolate.
can write this shit in my sleep.
Fair enough. Claude predicts a quiet and eventful episode of our lives. Yep. So, yeah, you go all the way through Klingon space. Nothing untoward happens. Thanks very much for coming along, guys. That was a brief episode. See you next week.
Good job.
No, nothing of the sort.
So, we're going over to a Klingon ship. Mag boots and phasers.
Depends how.
Would you like to justify such a decision?
Well, you know, some of the Klingon foods could be almost hostile.
Yeah, that's true.
Have
why
we
you can
got
bring
our
a dagger.
copies of Shakespeare?
Why, they need
Star
something
Trek
to
6
pop up their
reference, I like
tables.
that.
Well,
No,
I've
but
got
you
that.
suckers. But I've got a weapon.
Yeah, I've got a weapon now because I've got an attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you may have, you know, powerful weapons to defend yourself, but I'm bringing some doses of different types of fungus. Think about it.
The Klingons might add that to the menu.
Mr. Monoko, do we have any Romulan ale left? Sorry. Definitely Andorian ale. Just more blue.
So,
a
does that-
well-known historical thing where Romulan ale plus Klingons equals disaster.
It's fine, I planning to take it off the ship.
So, Commander Andrews is recommending that the crew be allowed to unwind, but no alcohol.
Just a little, yeah, kind of like, just encouraging people to actually take time to relax in the bar. Well, it's not tenfold because that's only on Enterprise, but yeah,
Mess
in the
hall
bar
it's
area.
referred to as.
Yeah, the mess. And to like for him to organise with Nova support if she wished to, although she's currently kind of like suicidal.
Nova's currently promoting bad morale.
Yeah, Nova's currently promoting bad morale, so therefore she's being told to keep well away from the party organisations.
So,
Although when it happens, she can be allowed to go near it to pick up on some of the good vibes.
Ah, smart thinking. I like
So
it.
she can get the good vibrations.
Beach Boys music may be mandatory. So, are you accepting the Klingon General's offer of food?
I have a horrible feeling it would be a disservice if we didn't.
All right then. The captain agrees. So, he asks the senior staff to get ready for an outing. But, Ensign Edwards is allowed on for this one. Commander Vipers make the ship vibrate in a good way.
Giving it good vibrations.
Computer, play Tango number 5. Broadcast ship-wide. So, yeah, basically, Beta Shift can be brought on to oversee operations, whilst the primary command staff can go over and, use the word loosely, enjoy Klingon hospitality.
Do we want to send the entirety of the senior crew? I would possibly advise that the captain, either the captain or myself, doesn't attend,
Okay.
just in case.
At which point the captain slaps Andrews across the back and goes, "Well volunteered, Commander."
Thank you, Captain.
Choose your away team then, and enjoy.
I think we need to. I think this is a mission for the big man. He can come,
Oh,
and then the rest of the senior crew as well.
Natala
Technically,
has previously expressed interest in keeping up communications with the Klingons before now, so I'm going to assume Natala tags along. We all know of Vipers' association with the Klingons, so that makes no surprise at all.
Mm-hmm.
Does Nova want to
I'm
tag
trying
along?
to go from a Dahar master ship, it'll just take a while.
Yeah, Nova would be interested in going over. Even why they're in such good spirits.
Is the Doctor going to go along?
If Andrews wants him to, he'll be fine with going along.
I think it would show, willingness. Is that we have majority of the senior bridge crew apart from the captain.
Alrighty.
And also our bodyguard.
Quite.
I think the best helmsman in Starfleet would be. I guess you could actually say that you've successfully piloted a Klingon vessel as well.
Quite. In that case,
Bring the changeling as well. We'll let him come out from the sewers.
Look at you.
All right, fine.
Changeling.
We are pushing the changeling down further into the sewers.
It was more the. Yes. If I was a changeling, I would have come back out by now and done something horrible.
You know who would say that? A
changeling.
right.
I don't see what you're complaining about. It's doing really valuable, important work.
You know who'd say that? Another
A changeling.
Right. I don't actually have a map that shows a Klingon mess hall. As it turns out, they gave me every other department on a Klingon ship other than an actual mess hall. So you're going to have to forgive me for using a stand-in for this, which is a Federation one.
That becomes sophisticated.
So you're just going to have to suspend your disbelief for a little bit, I'm afraid.
Commander, they're stealing our mess hall technology.
It's clean and everything.
So let's just have.
They've even
Mess hall.
replicated the empty coffee machine when Nova refuses to refill it.
So, yes, you are beamed on board the Klingon ship, and it's every bit as, well, uncomfortable as you remember a Klingon ship to be, except this, of course, is one of the top-of-the-line models. The Vorchak attack cruiser. So, it's a bit more spacious than the Bird of Prey or the Vorcha, the Cavorts, rather, I should say, that you have been on previously. Nonetheless, it's still like most Klingon ships, all hard edges and clanging walkways, and of course there's the smell. Klingons have a very strong smell, and of course they like to eat a lot of their food raw, and because you're going to the mess hall, there's already various barrels of not just blood wine, but also barrelfuls of various different types of worms. There are a couple of targ cooked up and ready to be diced up for everybody to consume. And, of course, the Klingons are also very jolly. And so, yes, the General invites everyone to have a toast, and they start talking about various battles they've been in recently, most notably against the Cardassians. I don't know, is there any topics of conversation folks want to bring up with the Klingons? As they're having a good old chat.
We have just had this nice big fight with a crew and proving ourselves
That's a good point, yeah.
honourable friends when all this clears up.
Jan, you were going to say something as well?
Well, seeing as the commander mentioned it, I'll talk about the time I piloted the Klingon vessel.
Ah, yes, that definitely gets a good couple of rousing bits of attention from the Klingons. Who, yes, one of which tries to compete. And he manages to, not stir, he stirred his ship. He steered his ship around the Antares maelstrom that one time and just about managed to make it through. But then, of course, Keval's got stories of equal, if not superior, measure.
I think we would be subtly trying to raise the question of what does this crew feel about the current situation between the Federation and the Klingons. Well, to be honest, no, it's a full open declaration of war.
In that case, can I get an insight and command check from Andrews, please? And if Nova wants to do it, an insight and command from Nova as well, please.
Any of my foci on that?
Let's see.
Battlefield tactics would possibly be the one, because deliberately playing the field too.
Yeah, I can go with that. 1 success. Okay, that's good. What about Andrews? 2 successes. I'm going to give you 1 over what you got there for 1 momentum. Alright, being so close to the general, Nova's definitely picking up a sense of this guy is being very patient, but behind that patience there's very much an eagerness for something. And again, that feeling of being very, very pleased with himself. Andrews, the moment the subject of the current conflict with the Federation comes up, even if you do bring it up with 2 successes, you interject it into the conversation subtly enough that it's not so subtle it's missed, but it's not so obvious that you just come out and blurt it. In which case, the Klingons kind of give each other a look and look towards their general, and there's a definite predatory glint to the general's eye when he looks at all of you. You're not sure, but there's something not quite right here.
I think Nova is just going to target his morale and just be like, so you're not too bothered about being put on babysitting duty then, taking us back to Federation space.
Provoking. I like it. In that case, that's interesting. How am I going to do this? You're actively poking the bear here, aren't you? So, in the interests of trying to gain a bit more momentum, I am going to ask you to give me I'm going to say daring, because you kind of you're poking the bear here. Can I get a daring and I'm all right with either command or security for this. None of your focuses really apply because you're just coming out and saying something. And I am going to oppose this with... I'm going to oppose this with insight and command. So, I'm going to use one of his focuses to get... Ooh, I got a complication. Okay. And a success. And Nova gets a success. Okay, so it's kind of tied, but... Yes, okay, so you do actively prod the bear. So, how exactly were you... Not exactly, but in general, how were you wording this?
Probably quite literally what I said, so it's like, so you're not too worried that they only think you're good enough for babysitting duty. So, the war's starting elsewhere, but they're just escorting us back through space. And
yeah, so the general's self-control, the outer mask, slips very visibly when Nova says this. At which point he stamps his fists on the table and just gets up and leans over in Nova's direction. You dare insult me, Lieutenant? I'll have you know I am a veteran of 5 successful battles. Whilst you were busy wiping the drool from your chin as a babe, I was commanding starships. And you ask me if I am fit for nothing but to babysit a load of Federation whelps who probably couldn't understand a fight if it knocked on their door and punched them in the face. You who like to espouse peace so often and yet fly around in warships when some other race comes along and beats your noses bloody. You are a race of cowards, who only know how to fight after the fact. Then he straightens himself. I think this little get-together of ours has exhausted its hospitality. Perhaps you should leave now, Commander, and the rest of your crew. I would recommend that you transport yourselves off of my ship.
Of course, General.
So I'm going to flick us back to here. So, as soon as you guys come back, the captain was, well, how did it go?
Let's just say
Yes, there's a couple
someone
of wincing
poked
faces.
the bear.
Even Claude is wincing a little bit at that question.
There
We'd only
was
got to the second course of GAC, for goodness sake.
there was a tension in the air to begin with, Captain, and questions were asked that provoked.
I see. Well, it was only a matter of time, I suppose.
Although they do seem overly happy about this situation. And I would suggest that we are ready for any potential altercation.
I see. Very well. I don't exactly want to go to yellow alert.
I would say that we have shields primed at least, Captain.
Lieutenant Claude, keep an eye on our Klingon friends just to make sure that they don't do anything rash and hasty. Keep systems ready just in case. Chief, make sure the engines are primed and ready for anything. Keep an active monitor on the situation, EXO. I'm going to my ready room and maybe send a message to Starfleet to make sure that we're on course and on time. So, it's not exactly immediately later, but some hours pass, and Keval notices that the Klingon ship is now sending a new course heading.
Commander, I think we have a situation.
How so?
The Klingons are altering course.
Okay, so Mr. Keshen, I'd like you to open comms with the Klingon vessel and advise why the sudden course change is being implemented. Can we get a sense of where they're heading to, Matt?
Okay, so Ensign Keshen sends a command, and if you want, just as an excuse to give a bit of extra momentum, let's have a reason and con check from Jan, please, for Keval, using astronavigation, Jan, on operations. For you to have a look at where they're veering off to. So I'm going to make this difficulty 1, you get 2, but you also get a complication, okay. So, not long after the Klingon ship alters its course, when Ensign Keshen sends a communication to the Klingon ship, gets a message back saying that the Klingons are altering their course in order to ensure the fastest return possible. However, Keval, you notice that the course they've taken appears to be heading more in the direction of rather than where you were going, which was to try and skim the northern edge of Klingon territory, heading more or less in the Narendra 3 area of things. they've altered course, so they're now going a bit more galactic southwest and more on course with. It would take you past Kittimer.
I'll inform the command.
Okay. So informed, the captain just looks over at Andrews. Thoughts, number one? Have we lost a Webby?
No, I'm still here. I'm just
Okay.
thinking.
Aha.
We are in their territory now. I think that we're being led into a situation, or potentially is that they're going to use this to launch an attack on Kittimer itself.
Kittimer is currently in the Klingon Empire. So it is a Klingon controlled system. Okie dokie.
I would advise that we request to return to the original course, because that is the most expedient route out of the planet, out to see what the Klingons' response is back.
Okie dokie. So, yes, request for course correction has been submitted. And there isn't immediately an answer. And it's around about then that... Actually, I've got the wrong thingamajig on, don't I? Is that, yes, there is an alert. Lieutenant Natala on sensors is detecting an energy spike. So once again, for the sake of maybe getting a bit more momentum, if somebody else who hasn't rolled yet wants to take command of, or control rather, I should say, of Natala, this will be a control and science check with a focus of sensor operations, and it can be aided by the ship. So 2 folks who haven't rolled much of anything yet. Gareth, Shaun, maybe? Yay or nay?
Yeah, I'll roll it.
So who wants to be Natala? Who wants to be the Navis?
I've opened up the Navis, so I'll
Okay,
do
you
that.
get the Navis. So Shaun, you get Natala. So the Navis is going to be using sensors and probably security, actually, to aid this check. And I'm going to make it difficulty 2. Got 1 success so far.
What?
What was Natala rolling, sorry?
Let's go with control and science with a focus on sensor operations. Two successes, excellent, which means you get 1 more than you needed, so you're at a half full momentum pool. Awesome. So, yes, there is an increase in Tetrion emissions off your starboard.
Tetrion suggests cloaking.
And that is indeed when an alert goes off and a trio of Klingon birds of prey come out of cloak and start heading towards the Navis. And that's also when I spend 4 threat in one go. Before you can stop me, haha. To do the following.
I use quick to action.
And I also that's why I used extra threat in order to counteract it. So I used 4 times as much threat I was need to in order to make sure that I hold on to it. So quickly, there's a notice of a target lock that happens. And a shot comes out of the Hutek. I get 10 successes with 4 effects, which means that's 3. Now, I am going to allow an attempt by, let me see, who would be the best? It's gonna be... Ooh, it's gonna be Claude, isn't it? Because Claude's on, Claude is currently on the, potentially, so,
Keval and Andrew's assisting, because we were, and
ready,
Bible,
yes.
because we were all waiting for the attack to happen.
So I'm also going to throw
Claude
this
protocol active, yes, we just launched Claude, Claude just runs and jumps out of the view
Comes to
screen.
off and just slaps him.
That's the orbital strike.
Yeah, he just jumps out through the view screen and just comes
I'm
into
going to
a-
ask for somebody to be Claude and give me a control plus security check to see how fast he can try and get the shields up. And I'm not going to tell you the difficulty.
On my assist, can I use one of my foci? I assume Battlefield Tactics or Starfleet Protocol.
I'm going to be nice and say yes.
Use Starship Combat Tactics as a focus.
Claude, yes. Who wants to be Claude? Gareth already got to Claude Protocol active, so there we are.
Oh!
Whoa! Right, okay. Cool. So I'm gonna quickly move us as folks are forced to come out of warp. Right. So a number of things happens.
Unless they find, well, we could still actually continue at warp.
A number of things happens. The first thing was the shot by the Hutek, which had a hit of that much. You got 3 successes, which means Lord did manage to get the shields up, but that massive shot manages to take about 50% of your shields off, which also means that the ship gets rocked, and I am going to say that they were deliberately targeting your engines because I am using your power trait to your disadvantage. So they are hitting engines. Engines suffers 1 breach. So, Starship damage on impact. When the engine suffers 1 or more breaches, it disrupts functions temporarily. The ship loses 2 power immediately. Further, the internal systems officer or someone in engineering has to perform a minor action to restore the system. Otherwise, all tasks assisted by the ship's engines or which have a power requirement will increase in difficulty and complication in range by 1. So that is damage report of engine impact. So the ship is rocked, and the Cavort class ship, the Hutek, raises its shields as the 3 birds of prey start moving in as an attack wing to come at you all at once. So you've now managed to get your shields up. So So,
They
rather
want to play
than
games.
sorry, what was that?
They want to play games. I'm quite happy to allow Matt to game threat to go full quantum. If they want to play.
So the Exo's pissed off. No,
Yeah.
but we found a way to raise someone's morale.
Right. So ordinarily, ship-to-ship combat can be quite lengthy because even if you use the rules as suggested when you use NPC ships, it's able to take 1 turn. Each ship is able to take 1 turn per scale. But that means that the Vorcha will be taking 5 goes, and each bird of prey will be taking 3 goes. So rather than that, I am going to mark this combat scene more as an extended task of sorts. So you guys can still perform shipboard tasks like doing evasive maneuvers or ship attack runs and whatnot, and trying to get back power and raising shields. The work track is made up of the combined shields of all the ships of the enemy. So that is obviously something you will want to knock down. So the more progress you get, the more of their shields you're knocking down. This has a magnitude of the combined scale of each of the ships. So the more breakthroughs you get means the more breaches you're inflicting. But combat is not the only option. And of course you can also use characters who aren't actively participating in doing combat maneuvers or using the ship's systems to shoot back or stuff like that, can also use their turns to create advantages to either make things more difficult for your enemy or more easy for yourselves. So I'm just going to quickly bring in tokens for yourselves, just so that you've got your characters within easy reach.
Can we start off by taunting them, saying that they are using 4-on-1? Are they really that afraid of the Navis? Where's your honor?
Let me see. There's Captain to Cass. Where's Claude? There's Claude. So that should be everyone you need, really. So, at a combat pinch, since Red Alert has happened, and we're in a bad situation, I am going to allow that either Edwards, since he is quite experienced with communications, be allowed to get up to the bridge and take over for Ensign Keshen. Or if you want to keep Ensign Edwards in his spot in engineering, then Alex can gain control of Claude.
That's
Edwards,
what
get
situation
yourself
you're going to put
control.
those people where they're strongest. So.
Yeah, so there's a case to be made for both points of view.
I would, yeah. It's on up to Alex, but I think from position-wise, it may be worthwhile is that he's got a decent engineering skill anyway.
Focus on trying to
Focus
do
on
the
getting
pairs.
the engineering back online, back to full operation, and then take over his position. That would be my thoughts, but obviously I said, Alex, your choice.
No, that's reasonable.
Cool. So as usual, opening most people's character sheets, you've got a link to bridge position tasks. In this case, of course, Edwards has only got communications, so if I can alter that to give you a quick link for engineering. Let me see. There's toolkit, there's flow. Okay, I'm not finding what I want.
Internal systems.
Internal
That's the point. I've
systems.
got to remove the medical stuff I had. So let's get rid of
Ship
that
position
stuff.
tasks, internal systems. I didn't create a link. Okay, hang on. Whoop. It's defying me.
I was actually we've got a breach in the engineering section.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I was actually wondering, would it be worth me focusing a sickbay task on that to, if I succeed, allow them to reroll 1d20?
All right then. So it basically comes down to who wants to go first on this turn and see what they can do with helping out. So if Gareth wants to have his medical team and Bertram himself respond to the damage in engineering, that's fine.
Yep.
That's a good place to start.
Okay.
So it should tell you what you need to do, but for the
It's
sake of
daring
those
plus
watching at
medicine.
home, daring plus medicine, difficulty 2, assisted by the ship's computers and medicine. So whoever wants to be the ship, maybe, I don't know, Webby maybe, because Andrews is mostly going to be shouting orders and stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to be the Navis, the Navis
what you want
aids computers and medicine.
Computers and medicine.
Oh,
Oh no, not using a focus. It doesn't have a focus.
Not using a focus, the ship doesn't have foci.
No.
0 successes, so you weren't successful, I'm afraid. You got to engineering. Somebody has taken a bad knock from a console exploding near them, and you start trying to patch them up, but of course things are rocking and reeling at the moment, which makes it a little difficult.
well, it was worth a try.
So that's Bertram done. Who wants to go next?
What did I say? I'll probably be assisting.
We do have the
Vibers.
trait fuses. Why do you think we haven't lost all power on the ship?
So, does Edwards want to either want to try and make a stab at restoring some of the shields?
I said probably wait for whatever vibe is about there to help.
Okay.
Restore the
Right.
engines and assist with that.
Okay, so
Clearly he's under him. It makes sense to go roughly at the same time or just after, so you can command Edwards.
Now, I will note, any complications you roll means that the ship gets hit with an attack from the Klingons. That's how I'm interpreting complications roll.
okay. Right. Vibers is going to try and do damage control to try and get its full power back.
Okay, so that's a minor restore option in this case. So, you don't necessarily need presence and engineering for this. You can do reason and engineering because you know, using what you know to suggest what to
Okay.
fix.
So would I be rolling one
And-
to assist on that?
Yep, you can if you
No,
want, almost
I'd
certainly.
recommend you roll separately and try and get the shields up as well.
So you want me on shields instead, so control and
Yeah.
engineering.
So yeah, that leaves an interesting one for Nova because she's got her Nova's responsibility is usually power management, and you could do with restoring some power. But because Nova also has a focus of shields, she's pretty good for bringing shields back up online as well. So it's up to you guys to decide if you want Edwards to aid with bringing shields back online, but it looks like you've gone and tried it yourself anyway, so never mind.
No, this was the damage
Alright,
control.
so this was Vibers trying to bring the engines back online. So the good news, I think, let me just make episode 2, it was a restore option, it wasn't that big a deal. So you've managed to take away the damage of engine impact, so that anything that uses engines now does not have a higher complication range and is not more difficult to use. The breach is still there, but you've taken away the disadvantage from it. Edwards was looking to regenerate shields. That's control and engineering difficulty of 1, assisted by the ship's structure and engineering. So Webby, once again, if you want to assist with the ship, structure and engineering, 1 dice, please. Whilst you're on the ship, take one power off in order to represent the shields being pumped back with power. That's 2 successes, so what you can do is you can either bank that extra success into your momentum pool or spend the extra success on regaining 2 points more of shields.
I'd say put the shields back up.
Okay, so that means that you get 4 points of shields back.
That's I'd say that's my choice. What's everyone else's thoughts?
That makes sense.
All right.
Has Edward's rolled yet?
Yes. And that's just as well because there was a complication rolled, which represents the combined Klingon force attacking the Navis. So this is going to be the combined shot from the Vorcha and the 3 Klingon birds of prey, which means I'm going to do a combined roll of that and the extra 3 that they're helping with. Oof. So that's another massive shot that gets loosed by the Vorcha as they strike for 7. Ooh. And 8, 9, which means you lose 2 of the shields that you just got back. As the battle cruiser and the 3 birds of prey combine their firepower to slam a shot home. So that was the engineering guys. Who wants to go next? Does Nova want to try bringing power? Does Nova want to try bringing shields back? Does somebody want to be Natala, who's going to try and scan for either a weakness in the enemy or a possible means of cover? You know, the captain and Andrews can also try and either generate more momentum or can get someone to go now or to create an advantage.
My thoughts were, for the tactics wise, is that we would deliberately pick one of the ships and we would use that as a get that between us and the other 3, and then focus fire on the Vorcha, because if that goes, the other 3 are going to think to themselves, this is a pretty nasty ship. So we're doing focus fire, and we're deliberately, so Keval would be deliberately putting the ship so that it's flying intercept runs and deliberately getting one ship in the way at all times.
So
Clawt's just allowed to go full trigger happy, apart from using... I wouldn't want to use the experimental phases in this case.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask there purely because I'm one of those people who thinks, is everything seen on the screen a plot point? What do we know about those weird nebula cloud lightning fins in the top left corner?
Aha. Well, that would be for someone on sensors like Natala to reveal.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to get the full skinny on the tactical situation, then maybe use Natala's sensors now to have a look for what could be used.
And you're all right with me doing that? Since I brought it up.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
This is a good opportunity to earn some extra momentum as well. So the ship is going to be aiding. So sensors and probably science from the Navis.
Shall I roll for Natala then?
Natala will probably be using control and science with a focus on sensor operations.
Cool.
One success on Natala, which isn't bad, which is pretty much on the money, but we'll see what... I mean, Webby, do you want to roll for the Navis?
I've rolled quite a few times. Someone else can roll.
Okay, someone else can do it. Who wants to roll for the Navis this time? Jan's probably going to get a con roll in a moment, so why doesn't Shaun have a go?
Okay.
So, Shaun, if you can be the Navis, give us sensors and science from the Navis. No successes. Okay, so it was pretty much what is needed. So Natala reports back that this area is largely empty, but as a result, the Klingons have managed to maneuver you so that any distress signal you send to Starfleet is going to take a while to get out. Meanwhile, the only thing that could possibly be used as cover in the area is that series of storm clouds that I've put up in the top left corner of the map represents the outer edge, or the outer portion of a dark matter nebula in the area. Now, it being a dark matter nebula, there's all sorts of problems and potential hazards with going into there, but the advantage would be that the Klingons would have the same troubles. So that's an option. If you need it, the dark matter nebula could be used as either cover or an escape route or something, anything that you can devise. Or for the moment, you can stand out here and tough it out with the Klingons and see how well you do.
Trying to think. I mean, I've had a vague idea to potentially, I don't know, at least seriously hamper their flagship, but it depends if we're able to get a transporter lock through their shields. It was like,
Probably not. You can't get transport locks with shields raised.
unless we're able to disable them. Or at least
Yes.
To lower our own
Lower our own
shields.
as well.
Yeah, we'd have to lower our own shield to use a transporter lock.
Fair enough.
There we are then. So it was an idea.
There's more just thinking how much havoc could dropping all the energy devouring moss we have straight into their reactor.
Not a lot.
Yeah, but we'd have to get onto the ship first to actually do
We
it.
would be more successful to drop a quantum torpedo into their engineering bay
Yeah.
rather than to drop the mods.
But
Or even more successful.
Still an
to
idea.
Beam their bridge
Yeah.
crew into space, but
Mm-hmm.
that one's apparently not done.
Can we be aggressive? Can we be aggressive this time before rather than defensive?
I was thinking that'd be more embarrassing for them because they'd be left alive and their ship mostly undamaged.
And nice
Okay.
and green.
Yeah.
Well, it's an option. You never know. You might come back to it and examine it further. But who hasn't gone yet? We haven't had. We haven't had either Andrews or the captain used in order to create some kind of advantage. So, according to what Webby was saying, potentially create an advantage to make it harder for you guys to be hit.
Mm-hmm.
By having Helm to use flying maneuvers to keep one of the enemy between yourselves and them, so they have to try and not hit each other. So if Andrews wants to use Control, Insight, or Reason plus Command, difficulty 2, to create an advantage.
So, but you said control, insight, or
You
reason
can choose
for
one.
that.
Choose one of them.
Okay, so control and command.
There we go then.
Alright, I'm going to use battlefield tactics, and I'm going to spend determination.
Ooh, okay.
Preservation of life.
Righty
It's
ho.
going to be one for that. So, and with battlefield tactics, use foci, yes. Use determination, yes. Roll the dice.
So that's 5 successes, so you got way more than you needed, and you've created an advantage. So let's throw that in here, and it's basically Navis harder to hit. I'm going to throw that there so I remember it. Okay, so that's Andrews' turn. What about the captain? What would you like her to do? Is there something you want her to create as an advantage?
I would say to be on open comms and just transmitting to say that 4-on-1 is no honor. Try and create another advantage of demoralizing the Klingons.
All right then. So somebody who hasn't rolled much yet, if we're keeping track, probably Jan at this point.
Actually, I was thinking of that. No, too late. I'm busy doing stuff, so no, I couldn't
Well, no.
assist you. I just
Pose your idea.
Oh, it's more that Edward's doing the cultural studies there. Would he know the exact right place to hit on that particular line of thinking to cause the most damage, as he knows their cultural ways and as well as the language?
Maybe you should
Install-
transmit it to Klingon space. Showing a 4-1 battle.
It's just basically just using what he knows just to tweak that a bit, just to tailor make the insult for max damage.
Well, you know, the captain knows just about as much, has got quite a good bit of, well, everyone here has got a good bit of exposure to Klingon culture and whatnot, so the captain could just as easily make that series of jibes and insults.
Fair enough.
So,
We could mention, he's had 5 battles since we were all children. We've had 5 battles in the last 6 months.
So, Alex, since this was more or less your idea, do you want to take command of the control of the captain and give me a presence and command check to create an advantage?
Could you burn a determination as well?
If she
So
wants
you
to.
use focus composure.
Yeah. Yep, I'm fine with that. So she appears to be really calm and collected, whilst, you know... Oh, really? This is how you comport battles in the Klingon Empire? I am so not impressed.
I'll say, yeah, it could potentially go for it. Be calm in the centre to the storm around you. Would be a good value for that as well.
Exactly. It's almost like I was prodding you in that direction.
Or lead with the head, not the heart.
3. So that's another advantage created. What should we say?
Can we have some battle music, by the way, rather than ambient? Or is that on Sirenscape?
It's on Sirenscape. I'll turn it up because it's usually a bit louder.
I'll boot Sirenscape because this laptop is struggling with other bits.
Everyone can hear that, yeah?
No, I've
Just
just
got
got the ambient sound, so give me a sec. I'll try and boot Sirenscape.
So that's 2 advantages created. So now we go to, well, it's either going to be Nova or it's going to be Keval doing their thing. So who wants to go first out of you 2? Going once. Okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to put power back in, or do you want to try and put some shields back, or what would you like? I mean, internal systems, it's either going to be regenerate shields or management of power. Damage control is really applicable now, since that Vibus has solved that little issue for the moment. So what would you like?
Regenerate is the power to be used, I guess.
Okay, so this is all down to you. So power management is daring or control and engineering. Difficulty 2. And you got 2, so you managed to essentially bring back a point of power, but Nova has got that a little more power, which means that you may spend 1 momentum to regain 1 spent power.
Might as well wear it next. Take it off.
Didn't you have that one where you gained an extra point of power? Or am I making that up?
I think that's Natala.
A little more power. Whenever you succeed in an engineering task aboard your own ship, you may spend a momentum to regain 1 spent power. So yes, you can do that, and you can regain 2 as a result. So 2 points of power restored. There we go. Nice. So now we come to the helmsman. So the question I have to ask is Keval going to try and make the Klingons have a harder time hitting the ship, or is he going to make it easier for Klort to hit the enemy?
Oh, I was thinking about it. Maybe we can do the swift action and do both.
Okay then.
By spending 2 momentum.
Ha ha ha. You want to do both evasive maneuvers and attack pattern?
If people are happy spending 2 momentum.
Do it.
Alright.
I want to, if they're playing dirty, I want us to be aggressive, so I'm more than willing to give Matt the threat as well. As I said, to boot in quantum torpedoes first. We're going full. They want to play ball. They scratch the kitty cat, and the kitty cat gets its claws back out.
Okay, so first action that Keval takes is going to be what, the evasive or the attack? Don't suppose it matters much.
No. Good.
Both of them are daring plus con. But... Evasive first, daring plus con, difficulty of 1. Who wants to be the ship? Alex, you want to be the ship?
Is that con and what, sorry?
Structure and con for the ship. Daring and con for Keval, please.
Structure... con?
Okay, so Navis rolls first.
Oops.
There we are, that's one success and an extra success, so you get 1 over what you needed. Nice, so that's evasive action. So, harder
We spend
to
the 2
hit.
momentum then, by the way, before. Did anyone click it down?
So we have to spend it now.
Oh, we spend it now, is it? Okay.
So yes, spend it now in order to do the second action, attack pattern. So this is going to require somebody to be the ship. As Keval makes another daring plus con task, but this one's difficulty 2. And someone has to be the ship to give me weapons and con. So who hasn't been who hasn't rolled for a bit? Davis, you can do the ship.
Okay.
Weapons and con from the ship.
Is that 2 dice or 1?
1. Okay, so let's see how Keval does. Daring and con. 2 successes, 1 over what you needed, so that's not only evasive maneuvers, but also attack pattern. Okay. Bearing in mind, so let's not forget that what's being piloted here is essentially a massive aircraft carrier that is being asked to do maneuvers that not only makes it harder to hit, but also brings its weapons to bear easier. So let's take a moment here to appreciate how awesome a pilot Keval Thazanan has to be in order to get a ship this size to do the maneuvers that he's doing. Now, the 2 points of
just
power...
seeing is sort of like the whole stress just goes into the red on several occasions and then drops back and then goes into the red again and then comes back. It's like,
Yes,
how
so there's a
stressful
couple
the
of
engine's
moments...
under.
So there are a good couple of rather comedic, typical Star Trek moments where the... oh, what do they call it?
Pterodynes is all stress.
Yeah, I'm thinking more the system...
Yes, Conduit 5's just gone pop again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Bravo,
thinking the system...
Hold that panel and we'll weld the one next to it. It'll be fine. Just don't
Inertial
let go.
dampeners. So the inertial dampeners are having a hell of a time at the moment. But also those 2 points of power that Nova just earned you back have been consumed by both the evasive maneuver and the attack pattern.
So does Mr. Claw now get to roll to make an attack now?
Yeah, unless there's anybody else that's left. I don't think there is. So normally an evasive action makes the difficulty of an attack by the ship on the ship using the ship's weapons go up by 1. But now that Keval has done an attack pattern, it's brought the difficulty back down, so it's about average. So
That's evasion and flyby, which means the difficulty of the second task is not increased.
okie doke. So it basically means that you've made Clawt's actions that much easier. So, attack pattern, the evasive doesn't do that, so yeah, blimey. So this is all now building up to Clawt taking a shot. And
So
if
in
I
theory-
read your intention correctly, it was going to be something big and made of boom.
Yeah, well the thing is the quantums actually do less damage than phasers, but then the phasers are designed to take out shields, whereas the quantums have a chance to go straight through the shield.
So what do you want to use? Phasers or quantum torpedoes?
What's everyone's thoughts? I want to just go boom.
I say we use the Clawt protocol.
Okay, yeah, we're going to yeet Clawt out through the... We're not using the experimentals because there's a 20% chance they might cause something to go pop.
That sounds like a good use to use them. I'm not seeing the downside.
Vibe is saying, I see no downsides to this!
You know what happens is that the command comes down from the bridge and Vibers just goes, Vibers protocol, we're using the experimentals.
In combat? Are you high? Walk out the bridge and have to run the whole ship myself. Fuck that shit.
We are now at 12A. Right, so...
I just realised Navis
Sorry.
swore.
Yes. So, no, that's alright, you're allowed one. So, it's either going to be... Yes, the phasers are more... they are better placed to take down shields. At your current distance, phasers might have a bit of a difficulty spike to hit, whereas a torpedo wouldn't. But a torpedo isn't as good at bringing down shields as phasers, so... Unless, of course, you roll damage and score really highly on the attack and roll
I say we
damage.
just... I really just want to go kitty cat claws. We've not had a decent ship-to-ship combat for a while. Well, the last one we had is that we were being battered by a ship that was outclassing us massively.
Basically, you want to actually assure yourself that yes, the Navis is the best.
Yes.
You want to let the beast off the chain.
Yeah, we let her out.
Alright. So what are we using as weaponry? Phasers or quantum torpedoes? Quantums!
My choice.
I love that throaty boom. So, Clawt can make a control plus security task, and the ship... Who hasn't had a go with the ship in a while? I think it's back around to Gareth by this point, isn't it?
Okay.
The ship gets to add weapons and security. The difficulty is going to be 3. Lowered down to 2 because of the attack pattern.
And Navis gets 1.
So it's all down to Clawt. Control and security, and his focus of weapon systems.
Go on, boy.
He did have to, because the quantum torpedoes require calibration, he has to use his quick action to calibrate the quantum torpedo to fire, so it takes all of his action to use the quantum torpedo. So let's see, is he gonna get it? 3 successes, which means you got 1 over what you needed, which means if you want, you can either bank the extra... I said 2 over, yes. You can either bank the extra 2, or you can throw one or both of them into doing extra damage.
I think I know where my damage all the time on this one.
Okay, so who wants to roll the damage on the quantum torpedo? I think since Webby has wanted so much, you do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
When it says 8 dice, change it to 10. Wow. Okay, so just for the sake of remaining, it's high yield, it requires calibration, and it's vicious. So, you've got 4 effects, and you've got a choice now. High yield is if the torpedo manages to cause a breach when it does damage, you can use high yield to create an extra breach, and that's using one of the effects. Obviously, it also has vicious, which means you can up it the damage by an extra 1. So those 4 effects, you can either pour them all into doing extra damage, or you can have one of them as maybe being the high yield side of it.
I would go. My thoughts are 1 vicious, 3 damage.
So
So
one
high
vicious,
yield,
3 yield, or
one
1
high-
yield
yeah,
and 3
one-
vicious?
Yeah, 1 high yield, 3 vicious. Sorry.
Yeah,
Everyone else good with that?
I'm good with
Yep.
that.
Go with it.
All right. Blimey day. Right then. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15 in total. So that is a bam, good old massive shot. So, yes, let me calculate this. So, you did 15 damage. 9. So you managed to whack a massive chunk out of the Vorcha's shields with that, and because you caused 5 damage or more after getting over its resistance, you do cause a breach, which means that because you added 1 into high yield, you actually caused 2. So the Vorcha has just taken 2 breaches. So that was a heavy, heavy hit. That was a very, very heavy hit. Okay, so that was 1 entire turn. Now I get to act at the end of this, so I am going to return fire, as it were, but I get a slight detriment to this because of all the stuff that you've been doing. Let's go with this guy here, actually. Oop, who did we lose?
Not me. Yeah, Gareth.
Okay,
Sorry, I'll repeat Discord a sec.
that's fine. I rolled a complication, but I got 3 successes, which means that that was a successful. So the Klingon ships come back around, and they combine their fire into a massive shot, which does actually hit, but I added 1 momentum to you there for that complication. That does mean I get to use this. So I am doing a similar job. As the Klingons combine their firepower, I am going to do 12... an extra 6, which makes it... Ooh, dearie me. Your shields get completely overloaded as you get a fusillade of shots raining down on you. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. How many over did I get there? So you had, what, 8 shields? I scored...
Is that even with the 3 advantages that we created? That they've still...
I've had to spend threat to do this, by the way.
Okay.
My threat has just gone down quite significantly. To do this.
So ablative armor is picking up some slack then.
Yeah, so shields have been whacked out, and I have got 2.23. Right, so systems hit. I get to do this 3 times. Sensors takes a hit. Weapons takes a hit. Because I chose high yield, sensors takes 2 hits. Right. So what's happened here is sensors are now down to, let's see, scale of the ship is that, so its impact damage. Sensors operations are disrupted. No task can be attempted that is assisted by the ship's sensors, and until they are restored, anything that uses that, and all attacks made by the ship increase in difficulty by 1. So let's throw that one in there. And there was a one to weapons, which is the same thing. Impact damage to weapons. Until the weapon system has had the minor restore option action taken on it, the ship cannot make attacks, nor can it attempt any task that would be assisted by the ship's weapons. So you've just taken quite a few heavy hits there.
Ow.
So that's the end of all of us' turn, so we come back around to round 2. So, you're in pretty deep water at the moment. So would you like to re-evaluate your strategy?
Well, it's almost like we're being pushed towards the Black Matter Nebula.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, you could still, you know, you've got momentum you can spend on upping stuff if you still want to go ship to ship. You did do massive amounts of damage to the ship's shields, and I had to spend threat in order to do damage to yours. So there's every option, but of course your shields have gone down. So.
Do you want me to, guys? Do you want me to do try the sick bay task again to try and bring something up?
I think that might be worthwhile.
Yeah. And
Okay.
So, what department should I aim for?
Well, engines is okay for now, but I don't know. Any engines
weapons,
related
yeah.
can happen. Weapons or sensors are also
we've
damaged.
no weapons at this moment in time. We're currently dead in the water.
Okay.
Sensors are going to help as well, because at this moment in time we're going to really struggle to target.
Right.
Yeah, so helping someone from the weapons department might be a good idea. I can agree with that.
Okie dokie. Sadly, none of my values really sort of suit this for determination, so I'm just going to have to hope I roll well.
So it's going to be daring plus medicine plus the ship assisting with computers plus medicine. So who wants to be the ship assisting?
Oh,
All
2
right.
successes!
Never mind, the doc does it all by himself.
That's cool. Okay, so the next task is to do with weapons. Can re-roll 1d20.
Okie dokie. So now
Okay,
it's
that's Bertram done.
Yep. So now it's probably time to start. Yep, there's suitable substrate. Nice to see you again. Yeah. So you guys, well, the two main commanders need to maybe make some advantages again. Engineering definitely needs to start working on repairing some of those bits of damage. You've still got power, so you can still shunt power to shields. There are a couple of departments that need damage control being done to them, so you've got a wealth of stuff that you can still do. If you want to keep fighting, there are ways you can keep fighting.
Well, I think what we should consider is, unless we get sensors back, the nebula is going to be tricky to navigate anyway.
Mm-hmm. So how about the first thing we do is see if we can repair those pesky sensors?
Oh, go on then.
Where do you want me, Commander?
Right, you're going to give me a hand on main set on sensors. So need you in primary avionics.
So, control plus engineering?
Yeah, that'll do.
Yup.
I had a moment
Unless
there
your
where I was like,
presence was
avionics. Why do you want
experienced.
to? Why do you want to where the birds are? And they're like, no.
Ornithology, not your strong point, is it?
That's my action, so...
So
Right.
that's an
This
attempt.
will work.
You've got momentum. Whoa! Yes, it will work. Okay, so this was repair. Because you've got that many successes, you definitely repair the sensor damage. So sensors are back and working again. They're still taking a breach, but they're back and working again. Very nice. So sensors are now operational. Oof. So that was what, Edwards and Vibers.
Yep.
Do we want Nova to try and restore some shields here, or?
Never any chance you can do shields? We don't have as much hull plating as we used to.
We don't want that. I'll get the shields back and I'll try to.
And remember, you can spend momentum to add extra shields. So internal systems regenerate shields is control and engineering from Nova, and the ship will assist with structure and engineering. So who wants to be the ship? Who hasn't been the ship? I've lost track. Who hasn't been the ship for a while?
I haven't been the ship.
Okay. Jan will do.
Structure.
Very nicely. Structure
and engineering.
Yes, please. Assisted by Nova's... assisting Nova's control and engineering. So that's a good one.
Oof.
So you got 1 over what you needed, so what you can do there is you get 2 shields back, and you can spend that extra on getting an extra 2 shields, and any other momentum you want to spend on getting extra shields.
I'd burn 2 more momentum.
Okay, let's back up to about half shields again. Okay, so Nova does have to pull power from the grid to recharge the shields that way, but she does it, and does it very well. So who's next on the list? We've already done the dock, helping out. We've done the engineers. We've just done Nova restoring shields. So there's still Natala, Thazanan, Andrews, and Ducasse to go before you start throwing weaponry out into the void. Somebody needs to actually repair weapons, so possibly Captain Ducasse or Commander Andrews could do that. Or Natala could.
Andrews is probably the best suited to get the weapons back online if it's going through security requirements.
Yep, that's no problem.
Do we want to get them back up? Is it worthwhile spending a determination again?
Entirely up to you.
Yeah, let's take the safety limiters off. Survival at any cost.
Okay.
We'll get them back online, whether it kills us.
So yeah,
I think foci actually work for this one. Actually,
control and security will do to bring things back online. As far as that, yeah, I don't think there's any focuses that Andrews actually has to add to the actual engineering side of bringing weapon systems back online. But that is 2 successes, which is enough.
Determination.
Yeah, so it was all down to your determination to get this fixed. So weapon systems come back online and are available once more. Woof. So, what does Keval want to do?
I think at this stage, probably evasive maneuvers.
Okay. Precise evasion. You may spend 2 momentum if you do. The ship does not suffer increased difficulty from attacks caused by evasive maneuver. So that's entirely up to you whether or not you want to spend the 2 momentum on evasive maneuvers, but not making it more difficult for Claude.
I'd say spend it again.
Okay.
Alright.
Somebody will have to be the ship in order to give me a structure plus con check. Shaun, how about you do that? And while you're on the ship, take away another point of power, because it'll cost a point of power to do the evasive maneuver.
Was that shield that just dropped then?
That was power that just went down. Because these evasive maneuvers cost power to do. 3 successes! Marvelous, as we say in Cardiff. So that was difficulty of 1. You got 4, so you got an extra 3 out of that. Nicely done. And you have got the evasive maneuvers advantage now. Nice. May have spelled that wrong. No, I didn't. No, I'm fine. So this now comes down to Claude. Are we unchaining another quantum torpedo, or are we using phasers? What's the...
Webby.
Are we using phasers or quantum torpedoes?
I'd say it's open to the group. What people feeling now? We have dented their shields massively. Do we want to just go full and hope that we punch through?
Given that we're in quite dire situations, I think we need not to hold back here.
Yep.
Does that mean we're using the rapid fire torpedo launcher?
That the rapid fire torpedo launcher is already actually counted into it.
Cool, so we do get a reroll of 1d20 on there.
Oh, actually, no, yeah. Firing multiple torpedoes much more quickly and accurately whenever the crew had
3 to threat to fire a torpedo salvo. So if you want to give me 3 extra threat, you will get to reroll a single d20 on the attack and any number of the challenge dice that you roll for damage.
We've already got 1d20 banked from Gareth's medbay restoration.
Yes, you do. So you could reroll 2 d20s if you give me 3 threat. What's the consensus?
I don't think we'll need it this turn.
Yeah.
So, are we giving me 3 threat, or are you holding back and just firing a regular salvo?
Come on, everyone. Want everyone's votes on this rather than it just being single combat.
Alright, regular salvo, go for it.
Regular, okay.
As much damage as possible.
Yeah.
So the as much damage possible. The as much damage possible runs the risk of giving me extra threat, though. So.
Yep.
Yeah, let's
It's
keep
not
it.
really adding much damage, it's just rerolls.
No, it's not. It's just 1d20 for a success. Well, it's an additional success potentially, but yeah. Yeah, keep it as it is. We'll just do standard.
Just do standard. Alrighty. That's not to say that when you do fire, you don't fire. I always imagine it that an Akira class would unleash more than 1 torpedo at a time. You know, boom, boom, boom. But using the active rapid fire thing is when you release a load off in one go, which, you know, is probably overkill. But the kind of overkill you like. But if we're going standard operating procedure, then that's fine. The requisite number of momentum was spent so that Claude does not get a detriment to hit, thanks to the evasive maneuver.
There's 2 momentum to add an extra d20.
But it hasn't been made easier for him to hit, so this is going to be a difficulty 3 shot to make. So if you want to spend extra momentum to give him extra d20s to roll, but somebody is also going to be the ship, which will probably be... I don't know, Davis can do it this time.
Okay.
So the Navis is going to need to roll weapons and security, 1 dice to assist with the shot. And Claude gets 4 successes, so 1 over what was needed. And 1 extra from the ship, which gets another 1 extra needed. So,
Was the 10 a failure? Or was that a pass? It was a pass, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so all of them were successes. One of them was twice as much.
Can't reroll any of them.
Yeah, there's no need to re-roll any of them.
We'll keep it banked.
So, that extra 2 momentum that you just generated, is that goal going into damage?
That's going into damage.
Oh yeah.
Alright then, so I think it's only fair since he loves it so much. Webby, roll that quantum torpedo and remember to add 2 extra.
2, is it?
2 on board over what it usually does. Oh, right. So that's 8. So once again, High yield, or vicious, or a combination of both?
High yield, 2 vicious again.
High yield, 2 vicious. Alright, so that's 4. Alright, so you did a good bit of damage. Their shields are now down to like their last 25%. Still going though. How much did you hit after that? So you managed, what was that? 8, 9, 10, took away that, you managed 4. So you didn't quite manage enough to score a breach, I'm afraid. But you have nearly completely knocked their shields down. So that's not
thought high
bad.
yield added a breach anyway.
No, it's only if it breaches, it adds a second. That's what high yield does.
So if it breaches, which unfortunately in this case you didn't do quite enough damage to cause a breach. You were 1 away, 1 piece of damage away, 1 point of damage away from causing a breach, which you could have used. But the Vorcha is trailing a bit of plasma because of the previous attack that you did do.
Now we phaser shoot the plasma and ignite the plasma trail.
Now,
when that happened.
Evasive has to happen, doesn't it? So I am going to have to do this and spend a threat to give myself an extra dice to try and see if the Klingons can hit you. Oh, they just about manage it. But I don't get any extra dice unless I spend threat. In which case, this time I won't. It's just going to be their combined shots. As a Fusillade comes out. Now, I don't do quite as well on that one. So, yes, combined salvo of shots rings out as the birds of prey come in for an attack run, supported by the larger ship, who fires off another massive bolt. So for this one, I am going to pour all of this into damage, which means that I only do 2 off of your shields, as the damage you inflicted before has thrown off the Vorcha's aim a little bit. So that takes some points off of your shields. Alright. The end of this particular round. I'm going to say that Ensign Keshen lets you know that the lead Klingon ship is sending out a request for reinforcements. How long that'll take for her to arrive, you don't know, but bear that in mind.
Can we open a general broadcast local transmission and say, "Oh, you one ship, 4 of you look like pandas, so you have to call for reinforcements"?
What you want to do is record it,
Yeah,
and
record
then
it.
add that onto the end of it, and then wide berth transmission.
Yeah.
Fine. Ensign Keshen will do his best to deliver that as a repeat it, maybe even wind it back a couple of times.
Send it to the Admiralty, something to use in negotiations.
Yeah, just put it out on wideband transmission.
So that everyone everywhere hears it.
And deliberately aim
Remix
it
it.
at the Romulan border.
What was that, Shaun?
Remix it into dubstep.
request backup.
So it's being sent to the Romulan border and Kittimer. So it's kind of like, if you really want to do that, you have you've stained your honour by going 4-on-1.
All right.
And Adivina goes, by the way, we walked into your trap willingly. Do we have to blow ourselves up? Because we can do a better job than you guys can.
So yes, very interesting. Right, we come around again to round number 3. Okay, you're very
Can we
much
ram-
holding your own.
Can we do the Klingon typical ramming speed? Play chicken with them.
What was that? I think that was Jan.
Pushed to actually just stand their ground. Sorry.
So one of the Helm tasks is ramming speed.
Mm-hmm.
Can I recommend someone get some power in the shields before we do ramming speed?
It's not going to matter. As soon as you get close enough, the shields are ineffective. could, in theory, ram through the shields.
Well, we do have a runabout after you, sir.
Okay, warm up
On next flyby, we just fly the. We load up the runabouts with sort of like antimatter explosives and fly them into the Klingon ship.
No, I'm loading them full of moss.
You'll have to wait a while for me
dear.
to be able to breed enough moss to pack those runabouts.
Plus, you have to breed a moss that doesn't burn up on impact of detonation of the runabout's warp core. So yeah.
Well, if I combine the energy moss with a fire-eating moss.
I think this might have to be our bet.
There's a figurehead and ram.
Oh, I know what we'll do. If we can hack into their systems, we can start forcibly on their intercom systems, giving them all of the Moss lectures that would be given the crew.
God, yeah.
Can we do that as sort of like let's just now cast as kind of its created an advantage as we are just broad transmissioning Bertram's Moss lectures.
Okay, so the captain is going to do a presence and command check. Tactician and composure, and oh dear, you shouldn't have let me do that.
Hey, yeah, why did you roll that?
Why did I roll that? You're supposed to be rolling that. So, if you want to create an advantage in that regard, then yeah, fine. I wasn't trying to actively sabotage you, but apparently Foundry thought I should. So,
She's leading
Yeah.
by example.
you should be rolling your crew. I shouldn't be doing that. Every time I try and roll for one of you guys now, scream, Matt, no!
Alex,
You're not allowed.
For a while, I think, have you? Or Shaun, never you guys have rolled for a while.
So yeah, basically any tasks you want to roll now to try and get things back up and running, more shields, more power, more advantages, more disadvantages for them.
I'm still working on repairs, I do believe. Or whatever the commanders wanted me to do next.
So what was the captain's one? Presence and command to create an advantage of Moss lectures in space.
If you want, yeah.
So we should roll
Confuse the
another sickly attempt for the weapons.
You got one for.
Well, first things first. Are we going to actually make Captain Ducasse try and create an advantage?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
I do
somebody.
actually have something to do that. Does the commander's bionic eye actually do recordings? Would she have recorded the results of her beating down that Klingon in the render station? That'd be an interesting one to beam to them.
yes, but it's just like, oh, I beat up one Klingon.
In front of all. This is
so
how easy it is. It's just laying it on. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, captain's
And it could all-
presence command.
It could all go into it. It could all be included in the general demoralization package.
Tactician
Montage.
as a foci, and
Sure.
do we want to burn another captain determination? Expecting the best. No, that's a bit difficult. Lead from the head, not from the heart. Bore the Klingons to submission.
Okay. Who wants to? Is Webby? Webby, you doing the captain?
I can do.
You seem to be already there. Two successes.
Only because you burnt the determination again.
That's what it's there for. Effort. Okay, that's the captain has made an advantage. Who's going
It's not
next?
demoralising the Klingons, it's demoralising everyone.
Okay. Well, you've already got low morale on the ship, so I don't think I
The
need
Navis
to.
crew are now impartial to it. They're just kind of like
No, not impartial, immune.
immune. Yes, that's it.
Impartial, we're not gonna like in the lectures. It doesn't
I don't know.
matter.
It's
it
more like
less
familiarity
less
breeds
immune and
contempt, I like to think.
You built up a
They do help
tolerance
with
over
getting
the
to
months.
sleep.
Tolerance. There you go. That's the word we were looking for.
Tolerance
They
to
do
Moss
help.
lectures.
We don't have any insomnia problems on board anymore.
So,
I'm just
yeah.
seeing the TNG episode where Picard's like he just kept talking in one long, incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic, so that no one had a chance to interrupt him. It
Hey,
was
there's
was
got to be
quite
a break in the
example.
sentence. It's coming next Tuesday.
Touche. Who wants to go next?
So, on the topic of Romulan ale, we've got a ship to fix.
Well, at the moment, the active damage there's no active damage that you need to repair. So those within access to internal systems are free to try and get some more power back or regenerate shields.
Alright, let's get some shields shuffled over.
Excuse me.
So, Nova, do you want to lead this one and I'll aid?
Yeah, can do.
Okay. So, yep, internal systems, regenerate shields is going to be control and engineering for both Nova and Vibers, but somebody can also be the ship. So, who wants to be the ship? Who hasn't had a go for a while? Gareth. Oh, actually, no. This is shields, isn't it? It is shields. So, Gareth, you can be the ship and give me structure and engineering.
Okay.
So that's one success from Vibers. A complication, but that is two
One
successes.
sec.
From the Navis as well.
One sec.
Once permission, move to one of the following, gain 2 bonuses, or ignore a complication suffered on a task. Ha 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 ha! Alright. Not letting me shoot the guns again. Damn you. So, this was
Okay,
requirement. Difficulty of 1, so... Nova has rolled. Gareth has rolled, so if... Vibers
One,
want
two,
to do his
3.
assist, 1 dice.
I did.
Where was it? 1. So we got 3, which means you got 2 overall. So again, you can either bank those 2, or you can gain 2 extra bits of power.
Gain more power, I think.
More in the shield sounds.
Boink. Oh, it's shields, wasn't it? You were doing
Shields
shield.
are looking,
You were doing shields, not power. My pardon. I do pay attention. Really, I do. So. Oh, I'm rubbish. Let me just check that I got all that right then in that case, because regenerate shields is difficulty 1, and you get 2 for every, so... You got 1, 2, 3, so that's 2 over, so 2, 4, and 6. 2, 4, 6 gains you that much, but it took that power off to do it. So now you've got 2/3 of your shields. That's not bad at all. Who's next? The doc was going to try and attend to injured folks.
Yep.
So you got a choice of departments.
Should I
wanna
go
do
for
what-
weapons again, guys, or do you reckon, is there another priority?
We've got a advantage banked in weapons, so
Okay. Are the sensors still off? Should I put one in, maybe trying to sort of like help the guys fix the
Sensors are
sensors?
back up.
Sensors would
Might
be a
worth
good
getting an
idea,
advantage in Helms.
because if Natala uses sensors, she can try and find a weakness in the Klingon systems, and that would give your next attack the piercing 2 quality, ignoring 2 points of resistance in the enemy.
Okay. I'll throw it into the sensors department then.
Okay, so Dr. Bertram moves his attentions to those in the... Whoa,
successes.
Nelly!
Because
Good lordy talks! That was
Guys,
difficulty 2, so that's an extra 2 you get.
Commander, you know those people who died in that last attack by the Klingons? I've upgraded their status to alive.
Well done, Doctor.
Reclassified.
Apparently, the only thing that was broken was the batteries in the comm badges.
he just
No, no,
he just walks in and just sort of like just tells the computer to release release healing gas into the room, and everyone just gets back up and like, ah, thank
Eating
you.
moss? Come on.
It turns out you'd all stopped listening to my lectures, and the last one was, today we'll be doing a lecture on necromancy.
Rise from your graves.
Great.
Right, so we need
Just
to
eat
put
this
on,
moss.
Yeah, we now need to put on Bertram's traits as necromancer.
Moss zombies. He like inserts it into the ear, and it rapidly grows into the brain and just reactivates it.
Yeah,
Bertram's
I
moss
crossbred.
zombies.
I crossbred some moss with the SETI Alpha, SETI 5 eels.
Oof.
We crawl into the corpse's brain and bring them back to life. It's the opposite of the normal eels.
That's not creepy at all. Okay.
The people who they raised from the dead aren't complaining. All they're saying is brains. Clearly, they're complimenting the brains of this department.
All right. So who hasn't gone yet? Edwards hasn't done anything. Keval hasn't done anything. I don't think Natala has done her census sweep yet, and Edwards hasn't used her. Andrews, not Edwards. Edwards. So that's a threat gone from me.
Oh my! I can't believe you actually got mistaken between Edwards and Andrews.
Edwards and Andrews.
It's alright. Andrews is the one on damage control with Team 3, right?
So
Just wait for the engineering team to get to the bridge and see what she did with the tactical station to get it up and running again.
It's fine. I have a spare.
What are these fuses that have been taken out?
I
It's
have
like,
a spare.
At least he didn't touch the live one. Like that scene out of Star Trek Borg, which, if you haven't seen it, please do. It's worth it for just, what, 2 hours of John Delancey?
Isn't that the only thing that was in the game? I don't remember anything.
Well, quite. Anyway, who out of those who are left want to go next? I mean, do we want to do Natala's attempt to do sensors now that we've got a re-roll possible? I'll take the silence as a maybe. Who hasn't rolled much yet? Shaun's just rolled.
I think the overall is, I think I haven't been doing much. Me or Keval.
Yeah. So who wants to do what?
I think maybe Keval should do another double whammy. We've got momentum.
Okay. Then whammy that whammy.
Okay, during gone for the evasive maneuvers first.
Somebody's going to need to be the ship. So somebody nominate yourselves, or I will. I nominate Shaun.
Is there a Brian?
Sorry?
Is there a Brian?
There can be if you really want. He's not the Helm officer. He's a very naughty boy. Can I get structure and con from the Navis, please? Sure. Thank you very much. You were way ahead of me. So it's now down to the pilots. Oh no! That's a point. I forgot the complication from Nova as well.
It got re-rolled.
Oh, it got re-rolled, didn't it? That's quite
Yeah,
right.
and it got ignored. Yeah.
It got ignored. I thought I was going to get to shoot you then, but I get to shoot you now. But you do evasive maneuvers. So I need to see if I miss or not. So let's give you evasive. I am going to actually select the right tool for the right job. And I miss. So thankfully, the free shot that they got missed due to Keval's evasive maneuver.
Oh, are we going to ram or are we still shooting?
Nah, I think we just shoot.
Okay.
There's a part of me that would like to ram them, but it's like there's too much damage on the Navis. We don't want to scratch the paintwork. Someone's going to have to repaint it.
Okay.
Hey, Edwards could go on structural stability. Structural.
So is our next project going to be a severe reinforcing at the front of the saucer section so we can use it as a ramming chisel?
No, we just need a chair where we can put Claw.
He's sticking his fist out into the void.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is we want... Oh, I know a really good weapon we could make out of this ship.
Happy New Year to you as well, suitable substrate. I hope you're going well. Hope it's going well as these guys are.
And we are going to full attack this round. But
Yes.
I'll
So?
spend 2 momentum to
Yep.
do Jack Patton.
Okie dokie. So, somebody else. Alex, you can do the Navis this time. And I think it's going to be... ooh,
Weapons and con.
that was it. Thank you. I doubted myself. I should have said it. But I didn't. So, Alex, if we can get weapons and con from the Navis. 1 success. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And 2 successes from Fazanan. So that was difficulty 2, so we got 1 over what you needed, so awesome. Bing! That goes back into. Ooh, so you just about managed to weave the ship out of an attack run by the Klingons as you bring the ship around for its own attack run. Nice. So, who's left? Has Natala done her thing with the sensors yet? I don't think she has. Alex, if I can ask you to do that. Natala is going to scan for weaknesses, so she's going to need to make a control and science check.
With focus.
With focus. And Shaun, Shaun. Why not? Shaun, you can be the Navis again. Because I know you love it so much.
Does the Navis need this time?
This time it's sensors and security, please. Thank you, Gareth. Everybody who hasn't listened to that Voltaire song, the USS Make Shit Up, I recommend that you go off and do so.
Well, now we're 12.
Now we're at 12. Well, we're definitely at 12. We were definitely at 12 from the F-bomb we did before, so, you know.
Well, it was a 12A now. Before
It's definitely a 12A now.
15 now. Yeah.
So that was 1 over what was needed, I do believe. So the phasers or the quantum torpedoes now have the piercing quality as Natala scans the Klingon ships looking for a weakness. So you've stacked up a lot of advantages here quite nicely. So who's left? Is there anybody left to go, or is it now Claude's turn? I think it's Claude's turn.
I could create another advantages at Andrews.
Yes, you could.
That'd be the only other thing potentially could do.
Deflect a she. A special type of Irish, fairy that holds a very big shield.
Now, Davis, get out.
That's the way we do things.
So, yeah, what's Andrew's planning to do?
Just trying to look which ones have I used. That one. That one.
Any kind of advantage that you can think of. You've already got an ability to pierce through resistance. You've got an ability to evade attacks. You've got the attack run is the attack of Claude is going to be made a little easier.
Yeah, if I just assist Claw instead.
Okay.
Just assist to sort of like act as the second targeting, sort of like running Natala's weakness points into the.
Cool. In that case, who hasn't rolled in a bit? I've asked Shaun to roll twice now for the Navis by accident. So how about Davis, you be Claude, giving us control and security with focus, and Andrews does the same, control and security but with assist.
God.
And somebody can be the ship. Gareth, do you want to be the ship?
Yep.
The Navis uses
fire momentum as well.
weapons and security.
Spending momentum, yeah?
Yeah, use 3 die with Claw.
1 success for the Navis.
Okay. So before you do that, I gotta. Oh, never mind. Which weapon is it? Quantum torpedoes again?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Do not take your finger off of that button, Lieutenant.
We've got plenty in the tank. We have to take them all off of the station. They're all
Yes,
on board
indeed.
the Navis.
Wow, okay, so that's 3 successes. You needed 3, you get 1 over.
4
so
successes.
That one. Well,
The-
what I
the
mean is
Navis
you
got-
needed 3 to hit with the
Oh, right, I
torpedo. So you get 1 over, so I'm assuming that extra 1 goes into damage.
Yeah.
Yup.
Who wants to do the damage roll? Or is it going to be Webby again, because Webby loves it so much?
Webby really wants
God.
to kill those Klingons.
Alright,
Let Webby do it. It needs a kill.
So it's just 9 this time.
It's going to be
isn't it?
9 now, so yes. Ooh, that's a lot of effects. So, once again, you've got 4 effects, so 3 for vicious and 1 for high yield.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes it 10 overall, but you've got piercing added now, which means you take, which makes 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Which means that the Vorcha is definitely down. Shields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With extra going in, spilling over into that one. But high yield hit, so it automatically gets 1 breach from going over 5. But we took how much? 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, math's not my strong point. It was 10 minus 4, which left 6, which left 4. So 4 breaches, which is 5 breaches, which is 6 breaches. So, wowza, this Vorcha class got utterly annihilated. Wowza! The Vorcha class goes up. Sorry, I talked over you then.
I say that old Klingon proverb: 6 times the curse.
Cry haddock. And the dogs of war.
Well,
Right, now-
imagine not even being able to take a single one of those cowardly, non-fight-loving Federation cowards he was so complaining about earlier.
Right, so
Yeah,
you...
now that the Vorcha's gone, is that I think we now turn fully on the other 3.
All your belong to us.
we will offer them the fact that we're going to be friendly, aren't we? We're going to be nice to these 3, and we're not going to use torpedoes on you.
Yeah, we decided we're going to actually take a handicap because apparently the Klingons...
Are we not just going to call them and go, "Hi, are you our escort back to the Federation border?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually. Yeah, we'll do that. As sort of like we'll open comms to the lead person, and we're like,
Yeah.
"Are you going to continue escorting us back to the border now, or are we going to have to continue this?"
We will allow you to leave some ship behind to deal with the other wreck.
I'm gonna read this now.
So the trio of birds of prey come about on an attack run as you destroy their lead ship, but thanks to Vazanan's awesome piloting and evasive patterning, the Klingons find it difficult to hit you. So, the Palm of Leaf mission. Once per mission, when attempting to persuade task in effort to prevent violence, you may reduce the difficulty. Well, is that the action that you want to take?
I would be tempted now to say, so you are escorting us to the Federation border.
You've already caused an incident. You're really pushing us further in these ships.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to have the captain backed up by Andrews do maybe a presence and command check to offer your ultimatum to them, your less than thinly veiled ultimatum to them?
Because you can either stand down and actually continue the mission that the Klingons promised, or we can stop holding back.
I like that. That's nice. Joint military exercise. Yes, whether or not there's any survivors left on the Hutek is it's going to be a matter of some debate, and depends on whether you want to hang around to see if there are.
I have a feeling that because of how quick they went down, I don't think they would have been ready in a position to evacuate.
No. That last hit dealt so much damage. It dealt damage over and above what they had remaining, so yeah, the ship has pretty much gone kabooey. It's in so many pieces now. Where are your actual warriors? Bring me your actual warriors. None of these pretenders. Students. Novices the lot. Interesting. Yeah.
Let's assume this practical joke.
This is why season 2 should have been called Star Trek Claude, because he is just the man. Everyone else has been assisting, and Claude's just been like, I fired the torpedo, people die.
One tool consists of a big red button.
Big enough for his big meaty hand to get around, yes.
See, what we need to get the stand down, transport Voth on board, heal him, and send him back to the Klingons with a little note saying C-, try harder next time.
Now we know why Andrews was able to repair that tactical station. There's only one button.
Well, so yeah, what do you want to do next, basically? What do you want to do?
I do think that we offer the olive branch, and we say we assume that you are our actual escort to the Federation border.
Because it's technically it's Nova's Palm Leaf peace mission award that's going into this. It's probably only fair if Nova also gets in on helping out with this persuasive action. So if Nova and Andrews perhaps assist, and somebody take control of Captain Ducasse in order for her to be the primary.
Starfleet protocols.
Presence, command, and I use empathy today.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and Starfleet protocols for my foci.
Okay, and who wants to be the captain? Because you probably don't want to risk me being the captain.
Oh my god, 19 again!
I'll give it a go. So what
Okay,
was it
cool.
again? It was presence and
Presence and command with a focus.
Nova with 2 successes. Does that mean this time you're not asking them, oh, haven't you got anything better to do than babysit us?
That was quite a lot of successes
I
there,
think
quite
she
nicely done.
was sassing them because we're still on the low morale high.
Well, yeah, you did demoralize them at first. They have just lost their main ship. You got quite a few successes there, and thanks to Nova's Palm Leaf peace mission, I am going to say that that's a success. Rather than escorting you, however, the Klingon ships actually kind of cease their attack, and after a couple of seconds they kind of almost... what's the word I'm looking for? They start slowly turning their ships about, trying their best not to make it look as if they're running away whilst they are in fact running away.
They retroactively advanced out of the
Yeah, there you go, thank you.
I think we would then transmit coordinates to Kitma and advise that there has been a battle here and you may wish to look for any potential survivors or debris reclamation.
Any actual life signs coming from that ship?
I'm gonna go with the sheer amount of damage you dealt, plus you unchained quantum torpedoes, and you made sure it was high yield at the end.
Yeah.
There's nothing left of the Huvak. So you've taken it down and taken it out. The Hutek, pardon me. So yes, ever boastful General, what was his name again? General Varoth. Pretty much.
He's now
had
General
his,
Dust.
yeah, he's now so much space dust. So yes, the Navis isn't exactly in great shape. You've taken a bit of a walloping, but you've proved very soundly hear that that this ship can take quite a pounding and still keep going. So this has been a very interesting and very, very decisive demonstration of the Navis's destructive capabilities. So, as a result of that, little Victor, I'm going to take away the low morale trait, because the crew, even though they don't feel great about the fact that they were just in a fight, there has been a very definite uptick in morale now that it's a case of... it was basically, is that all you got? And the Klingons turned around and went away, and it was basically a case of, yeah, I didn't think so.
I think that it's transmitted urgently is that we didn't instigate as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
Yep, you have your sensor logs to confirm that. It'll
And
take
yeah, that
you...
will be the sensor logs will be transmitted because Kittimer's classed as like a neutral location. Will be transmitted to the Kittimer government as part of the report to say that this is our sensor logs that prove that we were fired upon by the Klingons. We defended ourselves.
We offered them an out.
You did. You offered them an out and they took it. So, yeah, all of that is going to be very much in your favour.
Yeah, and we will go at warp 6 rather than warp 3 this time.
Yeah. 5 battles just wasn't enough.
You get the feeling we may have meant to do something else, but
Well, no. I can reveal. I can safely reveal, even though some people who do videos on what makes a good GM have sometimes advised against GMs revealing stuff that happens in the background. But for the sake of what's just been said, Lord for Chancellor, yes, thank you. For the sake of this, in case you were wondering, I had multiple different scenarios ready to go for this. So I was prepared for this to be a straight up fight. I was prepared for if you took too much of a pounding in the opening bit and you decided that this wasn't a favourable situation, I had that dark matter nebula ready as an out. I had, if it came down to it, I had it ready if you guys suffered a boarding action. If the Klingons managed to get your shields down and they managed to send in boarding parties, I had that ready too. So I was ready for this to go in whichever direction. So don't think by doing what you did that you were taking away from what I prepared. I was prepared for either eventuality. So yeah, and this was also testing out that new method of making this a work track rather than combat, which I think worked a little better. Even though it still takes time to run through everybody's actions during a combat turn, I eliminated the Klingons needing to take their turns as well. I just did it kind of like one blanket thing. So hopefully this was a bit better of a method of doing ship combat. Up to you guys. You're here. What did you think? Is this a better method than the usual one, or do you want to go back to that one? Keep this one. Try something else next time.
I think space combat is very, very clunky in Star Trek Adventures. And I think it did improve it. I don't know what else you could do to make it more streamlined.
So we are.
That's my thoughts, I'd say. Is that I do think combat with Star Trek Adventures is very clunky.
And to be fair, Starfleet it's they use combat as a last resort, and you get the feeling from the rules that this was never meant to be a space combat simulator, as has rightly been pointed out to me when I asked for help on this kind of thing. So it was other people that suggested using the work track method, and I quite like it. Utilizing complications rolled by you guys as free shots from the enemy worked when I tested this, but you guys didn't roll that many complications this time, so hey, all well done you guys. So the Navis doesn't exactly limp home. She's still pretty together, but obviously there's work that needs doing, there's repairs that need doing, and kicking it up a gear to make it warp 6 means that you do get out of Klingon space. Strangely enough, well, not strangely enough, the Navis is not challenged again on its way through Klingon space. A couple of times, a couple of Klingon listening posts have requested, well, one Klingon listening post requested why the Navis is moving without its Klingon escort, at which point the listening post was summarily sent a data package full of everything that happened, including the insults that were thrown at the Klingons during the battle, at which point the listening post allowed the Navis to go through, and eventually the Navis does make it into Federation space. So you arrive in the Kazis sector. Yeah, well, in the Arcanus sector, but the Kazis system, pardon me. So
Is this the first engagement of the war?
this could technically be seen as the first engagement of the war, yeah.
No, the Klingons, before they withdrew, did attack some outposts.
Yes.
But yeah, this is probably the first actual major conflict.
Now, what's General Vroth's motivation behind his attack on you will probably never be known. But it's not as if he's here to explain himself, really. And
we could hypothesize that he wanted 6 battles to be under his belt as victory.
I think it was obviously the Romulan ale and the Shakespeare quotes. It just seems to kill Klingons.
But nonetheless, it doesn't exactly feel good. But considering that you've now cost the Klingons one of its bigger, more expensive, newer battleships, and you've cost it a general. So, you know, the
generals
Klingons
like
have
admirals,
paid.
they're expendable in Next Generation era.
So, there we go. Yeah, the Navis manages to successfully make it back into Federation space. You make immediate landing with the nearest Starbase, which, if I can quickly check my records, he says, having to thumb through the lot. There it is, Beta Quadrant. The nearest starbase for you guys should be Starbase 234. So that's the first starbase that you actually make landing at, and that's where you are able to get repairs conducted. And from this point, yes, you are on a war footing with the Klingons, so where the Navis will be posted next, you'll have to find out. But as far as this little episode is considered, this is the end of this episode.
I love what you've just posted, Gareth. I love
Thank you.
What did Gareth just post? Remember how Claude said he'd let you live? Yes, Claude, you did say that. Claude lied. Bam! Class.
Took me literal seconds to put that together.
No, that was good. So, there we are. That was more of an action-orientated episode. Like I said, I had this prepared to go any which way, and you made it into a straight-up fight, and the crew of the Navis have very much displayed that working together, they can... Yeah, you really do not mess with the Navis. All that extra power and firepower and the ablative shielding and the technical expertise of its crew all come together to make a very formidable crew and ship, it seems.
Reminds me, the last task that I give Mr. Edwards before he moves on is to pilot a work bee along with me and Bravo, replacing the ablative armor.
You're going to be on the outside replacing the ablative armor quite a bit for quite a couple of days. quite a
Yep,
couple
well,
of
that's why we
days.
got 4 work bees.
That's what you got worker bees for, exactly. Very good.
You've got to
So,
have a good
yes.
couple of flybys around the outside of the ship as well before you even start work.
It's required to do orbits.
And don't worry about boredom out there, because now the Moss Lecture's available in podcast form.
Yeah, we transmitted all of that to Kittimer.
Yes, you did. And the Klingons are there furiously fighting to get to close comms, but you're broadcasting on all frequencies.
This is how the Federation wins the war. It's not with starships, it's psychological warfare.
I had a
they
word.
said
Or is it-
Roll ban towards the neutral zones? So...
Or is it mitocological warfare?
I don't know what you're
Oh,
talking
flip.
about.
Now
Mushrooms.
you're
Peace offering.
Now you're quoting his lectures.
Obviously, I went off, and rather than, because I can't say vegetative warfare, I had to go with something that sounded like psychological, so I went mitological, which is mushrooms. So I'm close. I'm in the border. I'm on the border of. I'll get my code.
Which is also the direction we're sending the podcast, to the Klingon border.
Well, I think, unless there's anything anybody wants to add that the crew get up to after making Starbase.
So, Doctor, is there any chance we could borrow some of that Moss research of yours? We have a scientific endeavour that might require it.
I like how I could hear the air quotes going in there.
You're going to need to talk to me after I finish the current
experiment,
project
isn't
that
it?
I've been asked to
Ah.
take part in.
Where do we paint the tally marks? Well, I think Starfleet Command might frown on such practices, but
We painted them on the
ship.
on the Ross ship because he needed the kill padding.
you go
I'm
back and
pretty
just
sure
take a piece of
somewhere-
Roth's ship.
Yeah, somewhere on the Navis there would be somewhere where it is. This is how many Klingon vessels have been destroyed, or how many vessels in total have been destroyed. We just tally it up, and it's like when we do eventually end up in the war for sort of like with the Dominion, it's like, well, we've killed 700 flipping Klingons and 90 Romulans. Bring it. It's just
We've
another
just
number.
got a tally chart on the side of the hangar wall. Every time we kill something, we put a new column in the tally chart.
And there's a tally chart on the opposite side of the wall of how many scratches Keval's put on the Carpathia.
Yeah, I was thinking more of a Legolas Gimli moment when we meet back up with our
Yeah.
Klingon friends.
That only counts as one.
Well, okay then. I think this is a good place to end it as far as the stream is concerned, so thank you very much for everybody who's tuned in. For those of you, as usual, who are watching this on YouTube, please consider liking the video, because it helps the other guys who are also streaming their Star Trek Adventures games, so we can get that pesky algorithm to work for us. Thank you very much, guys, for attending. This has been quite an action-packed game tonight, so yeah. And thanks for tuning in, Suitable Substrate. So we shall see you hopefully next week. Live long and prosper, and we say goodbye as we close our hailing frequencies.